Hello, and welcome to the Wheel of Games. Today we're going to be learning how to play Zombicide. A little background on Zombicide. This is a game that I've known about for a long time, but definitely falls into the category of I haven't played nearly enough of it. I really like the cooperative zombie killing mechanics of this. It's a game for 1 to 6 players. You play as a group of survivors trying to survive a zombie outbreak. The game is organized into different sort of missions, which can be gathered into campaigns, I suppose. But there's a lot of content to this. I had a couple of expansions, DC and Fort Hendry, I believe, and quite recently my Marvel Zombies Kickstarter came in, so now I've got an enormous backlog of Zombicide to play, and I haven't played nearly enough. I've played several games of this, mostly online and tabletop sim with my friends, and I think it's a lot of fun, and this is definitely a game I want to be playing more of. So I'll clear off the table and we'll get into how to play. And we're back. Zombicide very helpfully provides a tutorial mission, so I'll go through that step by step. The first thing to note is that this mission consists of 2 tiles. A lot of them are much larger than this, but thankfully this allows us to get a nice close zoom for the tutorial. Consists of these 2 map tiles. It also tells us where to place each of the zombies, as well as the different spawn locations. So I've already put a walker in those 2 spaces. We have a runner up here, and we have a fatty up there. We have the first spawn point for the zombies is up there. That determines when you're drawing cards which one you would start with, and then you go clockwise around the board. So that's why this one has a 1 on it. Much is determined by the setup instructions for the particular mission. Also note we have the survivor starting zone, as well as the exit for the map are in the bottom left there. Okay, the rest of this, we'll go back to the normal setup rules to explain step by step why we're doing everything else during the setup. Step 1, choose a mission. We're playing the tutorial. Step 2, place tiles. Step 3, which what we just did, place the spawn zones, tokens, and miniatures as indicated by the mission and tiles. So something that is on the tiles themselves, you can see this yellow crate, as well as this red crate. The contents of the red box will change depending on the mission, but just imagine it's the briefcase with the secret codes, or whatever it will be, the mission will tell us. Those crates are actually on the map tiles, so we find them and we put the tokens over them. After we've looted them, all that remains is the empty box. Also, we see these yellow boxes. Those yellow boxes contain pimp weapons, which are essentially upgraded special weapons that are more powerful than the normal items you would get via normal searching. This indicates that there's only 1 on each one of these tiles, so there's a much more limited number of them than if you continually search and try to get more items. Step 4. Select the survivors and distribute them between the players as desired. So a standard Zombicide game is made up of 6 survivors, regardless of how many players you actually have. So if you're playing just 1 player like me, you're controlling all 6 survivors. They recommend, if it's your first game, to divide them all up between 6 players so that you're each controlling just 1 survivor and it's easier to focus on one thing at a time. But you can divide them up between any number of players as you like. It is a cooperative game. In my case, I'm just going to be going left to right, top to bottom. I randomly determined which survivors I was going to be playing with. I just rolled a die and picked from the selection of what I had. You can choose which survivors each player will be playing as well. Select a dashboard for each of the survivors. This is how you would set up the dashboard. Here is a close-up view of what the player dashboard looks like. Over on the bottom side, you have your experience tracker that starts out at 0 in blue. Once you reach yellow for 7, you would get to add a new skill. So each survivor will start with a basic skill, which is the one in blue, and there's a reference again as to what those mean. But each time you go up a different level, so when you would reach yellow, you would get your yellow action. When you reach orange at 19, you would get to put a pin in one of the 2 orange actions, and when you get up to the very end at red, you would get to select your final extra ability. Over on the right side, you can see their health tracker. As you take wounds, that would go down, and if you reach the skull, that means that this survivor has no longer survived. To either side of the player's portrait, You can just see the outline of a little hand there. Those are your slots to carry, or equip rather, weapons, and hold items for that character. Once you have set up the player's various boards, taken all of their pieces, then you set up and shuffle the different decks. There are 5 different decks that you play with. This one on the left in the middle is the zombie deck. You draw one of these at the end of each turn to sort of spawn new zombies, continuing to up the menace. These special menacing cards are the abominations. Whenever you need to spawn an abomination, this selects one of the group of named special abominations, each of which has a different ability. Over here on the right, we have all of the different item decks. The gray one is the starting item deck. The blue one is the items that you would find via searching, and the red deck is the pimp weapon deck that has these special items that you would get from looting these pimp weapon crates. Okay, after you've shuffled all of those decks, it says to take all of the starting equipment cards and then deal them randomly as evenly as possible between all the survivors. There are 6 of them, so if you were playing with a smaller number of survivors, then each one would, you would have to balance them. So I'm just giving each one of them a weapon, and we'll be able to see what all these starting weapons are. Okay, it looks like we had 3 pistols, a crowbar, a baseball bat, and a fire axe are the starting set of items. So we have randomly distributed them. We can look at what they are and what all the symbols on each of the cards means in a moment. Next up, we place the miniatures representing the chosen survivors in the starting zones indicated by the mission. So the mission map earlier had that blue marking over here. This is the starting point. I have put the colored bases that correspond to their different little tracking peg colors, which should make it a little bit easier to know who is who. All of them are in this bottom space. Spaces on a map are delineated by the crosswalks. So this tiny little corner here where that exit sign is one space. This is also a space. This section is a space. This is a much bigger space, but it's still, they all count as one. Likewise, we have a door here, and so each of these rooms, no matter how big the room is considered one space. After you've dealt the starting item cards, whoever has the fire axe gets to take the very first turn, and you give them the first turn player marker. That marker will determine who goes first in each round, and I believe it rotates around, but we'll look at how that works when we go into how to take turns in a moment. We're still in the setup phase. So, fire axe gets the first player token. Okay, a brief update on how the doors work. I thought I needed to place a token because some of these tokens do have a closed door shown on them, but that's actually only for locked doors. Normally, doors are closed and they block line of sight until the survivors take an action to open them, which would be represented by something like this. Doors broken down, don't open again. What that means for setup, though, is that you don't need to place a door token on every single door. The doors are always assumed to be closed unless there's some other kind of condition applied. So I don't need to add closed door tiles. I'm already good. Okay, and that does it for the setup. So now we can go into the overall player phase. So there's a very nice summary of how the game works on the back of the book. Probably when you're playing, just have it here by default. But first, the round begins with the player phase. Each player gets 3 actions to do on their turn, and there's a number of different actions you can take. You can spend an action to move your survivor one zone. As I mentioned, the crosswalks divide zones outside, and these doors or doorways divide zones inside. One action moves you one zone. Something that is new in 2nd edition that I haven't encountered before is the introduction of kids. Some of these survivors are actually kids now. Don't know why they decided to put them in harm's way, but these kids have that little kid marker, as opposed to, say, Ned. Ned, not a kid. But these kids have less health than the adult survivors. You can see 2 versus 3. But every kid automatically has the slippery ability when they are moving on their turn. And slippery The survivor does not spend extra action points when they move out of a zone containing zombies. Normally, you have to spend an additional action per zombie in the zone that they're attempting to leave, but kids, because they have that slippery ability, can ignore that ability. So kids have less health, but they can get away from the zombies easier because they're smaller and harder to grab with those claws. Once per turn, you may do a search action if you are inside of a building and there are no zombies in that same space. Then you can draw a card from the equipment deck, which is the blue deck. If you are searching from a pimp weapon crate, so in this example, my character is on a space that contains the pimp weapon crate, then when I use the search action, instead of drawing from the blue deck, I can discard that pimp weapon crate and draw from the red deck instead. Search actions give you items. Items can be weapons. They're not always weapons. Sometimes there are things in the deck that you're searching for, like food or other kinds of tools that are important to the mission. So searching action gives you items. The third action that you can take is the open door action. So in our example from before, if we are outside and we want to open this door to reveal what is inside and to get at any items that might be in there, now that we're learning how to open doors, Raptors would be proud, it's time to look at some of those item cards that we dealt out at the beginning of the game. So first example is Crowbar. It has a door symbol here, which means that this item can be used to open a door. Survivors typically can't just open a door on their own. These doors are all essentially barricaded by survivors in the past before our current situation has begun. So all of these doors need to be broken open, which is why you need tools to do so. This crowbar has an action to do it, but as a different example, pistol does not have that symbol. For the little door opening thing, you can't use the pistol to open a door. Neither could you use the baseball bat. It doesn't have the door opening symbol, so you can't use the baseball bat to break down a door. From the starting items, only the crowbar and the fire axe, which would be great to show those two together as for contrast. Those two have the door opening symbol on them. Now, you can already see right off the bat that there's a difference between them. The crowbar has a little ear with a line going through it. That means that it is a silent tool when used for opening a door, whereas the fire axe makes noise when it is used to open a door. You track noise by adding these noise symbols, and the noise symbols will attract zombies that are unable to directly see you. When a survivor opens a door into a building, we reveal what was inside that building. These buildings aren't actually empty and devoid of zombies. Instead, we have to draw zombie cards to fill up each space of that building. Another new thing about opening buildings and spawning zombies inside of buildings is a new concept called dark zones. These dark zones are indicated by the colorations on the map. So for this building right next to where we started, we've got a bright room and 2 dark zones. So for each one of these dark zones, we would draw a card and spawn in that number of zombies to the map. So you can choose however order you'd like, just be consistent about it when you're, like, say, farthest to closest or clockwise or whatever. But just make sure you've chosen which room you're drawing for before you reveal the card. In this example, going farthest to closest, the first one, because we're in blue, we would get 4 walkers spawned there. And in the second room, the one that's closest to us, we would get 3 walkers. And so we would put them onto only the darkened rooms in the building. In the past editions of Zombicide, whenever you opened a building, you would draw a spawn card for every room in the building. They've made that slightly easier in that now you only draw a card and spawn zombies in the rooms that are specifically darkened, this more grayscale. And I think it's fairly easy to tell which ones are light versus darkened. The fourth action is to reorganize or trade. The survivor can move the cards around within their inventory, maybe equip a different tool or weapon for use later in the turn. You can also exchange any number of cards with one other survivor currently in their same zone, and the other survivor gets a free reorganization to maybe equip that item right away. When reorganizing items, you can only trade with one survivor for an action. If you wanted to switch items with two survivors, that would be two different actions, each one allowing you to trade and reorganize items between yourself and that other single survivor. The fifth actions are combat actions, which is making an attack with either a melee weapon or a ranged weapon. Now it's time to take a look at the bottom part of these various item cards. So on the crowbar, you can see at the very bottom of it, there's that row of 4 symbols. The first one on the far left is the range that you can use that weapon when doing attacks. 0 means you have to be in the same space as the zombie when you're making the attack. Second from the left is the dice. That's the number of dice that you roll when you're making the attack. The third one is how accurate the weapon is. So you need to roll the number it says or above in order to hit with that weapon. So both the crowbar and the fire axe have a 50% chance to hit. 4, 5, or 6, you hit. 1, 2, or 3, you would miss with the attack. And the fourth icon on there with sort of the blood spat thing is the lethality of the weapon. So the fire axe has a lethality of 2, whereas the crowbar only has a lethality of 1. Normal zombies, like your walkers and your runners, they can be hit with any kind of a weapon. But tougher zombies, like the fatty, you have to have a weapon of at least lethality 2 to deal any damage to them. You cannot damage the tougher zombies with something that is only as lethal as the crowbar. You need a stronger weapon like the fire axe in order to damage some of those zombies. And I suppose the fifth icon in the very bottom corner is whether the weapon makes noise when you're doing an attack. So both of these weapons would be silent when making an attack. For contrast, let's look at the pistol ranged weapon. In this case, the range in the bottom left is 0 or 1. So you can fire with the pistol at an enemy that is in your space or in adjacent space. You would roll 1 die. You would hit on a 3 or higher. Lethality of 1, this weapon would make noise. Whenever you fire, you would place one of those noise tokens in the space where you took the shot with the pistol. The red symbol up in the top means that this weapon can be dual-wielded. So the dual symbol can be found on both melee and ranged weapon. If the active survivor has 2 identical weapons with that symbol equipped in their hands, they can use both weapons at the same time by using a single action. You have to be firing both of them at the same zone. You cannot dual-wield a pistol and an SMG, but you can dual-wield 2 pistols. You basically get to fire twice for 1 action. It's great if you can dual-wield. And the last symbol on the right middle there is a new symbol for 2nd edition. It's one I've never seen before, but apparently it means that is the type of ammunition that this weapon uses. There are some special cards that I think you can find in the equipment deck. One of them is called Plenty of Ammo, and it indicates which type. That is the type of ammo that this ranged weapon uses, and some other cards may care about that. The pistol itself, you're not going to run out of ammo, thankfully. Each of the ranged weapons, unless it otherwise states, has infinite ammo by default. When a survivor is making an attack, sometimes a weapon can have more than 1 die. So if you're rolling multiple dice and you get more than 1 hit, then you can divide those hits amongst the different zombies that are in that zone. So if you get 3 hits with an SMG, you can kill 3 different walkers. This doesn't overcome the lethality level of a weapon, though. Even if you get 3 pistol shots, you still can't kill a fatty with the pistol, no matter how many shots you get in on him. Another important thing to remember when you're using a ranged weapon is there is a rule for how the hits get assigned to targets, based on the type of the zombie. So the first ones that will get hit by your ranged attacks are either fatties or abominations. You can choose between those types, but your hits always have to go to those zombies first. After all of those are dead, or there aren't any on that space, then you can assign hits to walkers until all of the walkers are gone, and then you can assign any remaining hits to runners. That means that the fatty or abomination, because they have higher lethality levels, you can't kill them with something as simple as a pistol, but that means that you can't kill them with those ranged attacks. And that means the fatty can protect all of the weaker zombies in their space simply by absorbing all of those not very lethal hits. So if you're shooting into a space that has a fatty and 3 walkers, all of your hits must be assigned to the fatty until the fatty is dead. That means that there is no point in trying to shoot to try to like kill the walkers that are in the space, the fatty protects them. So there is a targeting priority order, and the player doesn't get to choose. It's just the fatty or abominations are the first ones you hit, then walkers, and then runners, the slipperiest of the zombies. You can choose which of the figures, like among the walkers, which ones you want to pick off. I do have some expansions that introduce like different variations of walkers, some of which may have special abilities. So you do get to choose within a level like which walker you want to take out, just in case there is something special about it. But the types, fatties or abominations first, then walkers, then runners. Only for ranged attacks. Melee attacks, you can choose who you're hitting with every melee attack. When you're using a ranged weapon and you're attacking a zone that has both zombies and a survivor in it, then any misses that don't hit the zombies will hit the survivor instead. So you can very easily suffer from friendly fire if your attacks miss. You can assign the damage as you wish. We need to briefly touch on the issue of line of sight. In order for a survivor to shoot at a zombie with a ranged weapon, you need to be able to draw line of sight to that enemy. Also, there's a concept for zombies, whether they can see a survivor or not. So, line of sight, when you're outside, it will go in a straight line, an unlimited distance. It doesn't go diagonal, so it's just your cardinal directions. So in this example, the zombie out here has line of sight to our survivors, and vice versa. The survivors also have line of sight to the zombie, but notably not the walker in this space or anyone further down the street. It's just that straight line. Things are slightly different when you're indoors. Naturally, a closed door will block line of sight, but let's just say we busted that door open. You can see into a building from outside, but only to a distance of one room. So if you were out here, then, and this door was open, you can see into this room, but not further on into the other room. Distance when looking through buildings is limited to a distance of only one zone. If you are on the inside looking outside, you can see an infinite distance as long as that's all outside. And if you were in a building like looking across the street, you could see everything that was outside, but only into the first room on the opposite side. That determines line of sight, what you can see or what the zombies can see. The last couple of things that you can do, it is one action to take or activate an objective. In our example here, these red objective boxes are the objectives that we're trying to retrieve in this tutorial mission. So it is one action to claim the objective marker. When you take an objective token, unless otherwise stated, each objective token gives 5 adrenaline points to the survivor who takes it. You can make noise. You make noise in your turn, in your zone, simply by placing more tokens there. You're trying to maybe distract zombies from another survivor who's in a vulnerable position. Maybe you're far away and you can distract them and control where they're going. You can simply spend an action to put noise tokens on the board. And finally, you don't have to use all 3 of your actions. You can simply do nothing as your remaining actions. When the player has finished taking all of their actions for a turn, or rather a survivor, the next player to go is the one on their left, which means you're going in clockwise order. After all of the players have taken their actions, the first player takes the first player marker and gives that to the player on their left. So in this clockwise case, that would go from Amy over to Elle, and now Elle would take the first turn in the next round, and Amy would go from first to last. Once all of the players have finished with their actions, then the zombie phase happens. Each zombie activates and spends its action on either an attack or a move, depending on the situation. Resolve all attacks first, then all moves. Each zombie will only perform either an attack or a move with any single action. So in order to attack, a zombie has to be in the same zone as the survivor they're attacking. A zombie's attack is always successful and does not require any die rolls. If they're not already in a zone with a survivor to perform the attack, they use their action to move one zone towards survivors. But these runner zombies are more dangerous because they get 2 actions on their turn. The fatties still only get one action, but they're much harder to kill, so they are lumbering menaces. They will always attack if they're able to. If not, they will move to try to be able to attack. We've talked about how line of sight works. We can talk about how zombies choose their targets. If a zombie can draw line of sight to a survivor, they will beeline straight towards the closest survivor that they can see. But if they can't see the survivor, like, say, these zombies that are around the corner, if they don't have direct line of sight on a survivor, then they go by the noise that is produced on the map, and they will go towards the loudest tile that is on the map, and they will go by the fastest route towards that tile. Notably, each survivor counts as a noise token. Like, they're just always producing some amount of noise. They just cannot keep quiet no matter how hard they try. But the actions that they've taken during the player phase on the turn will produce some number of noise tokens, maybe none, but it will potentially change where the zombies are going to target on their turn if they don't have direct line of sight on any of the survivors. So let's say just somehow that a noisemaker had been deployed over here, and if we only had one survivor over here, just as an example, then these zombies who don't have a direct line of sight on a survivor, instead of moving towards the actual survivor, they would move towards the noise. So strategies can include making noise and then jumping out of the way to hide so that the zombies are attracted to noise, especially if your survivors are split up, not in one giant blob like they would be at the very start of the scenario. But if you can spread out a little bit and make noise in some other spot, you can control where the zombies are going to target. But as soon as they've got that line of sight, they start ignoring the noise, and they will just go straight towards a survivor that they can see. When zombies are moving, and there's more than one path that's the same distance going towards their target, the zombie group splits, and half of them go one way and half of them go the other way. How you decide how to split them, though, there are special rules for that. Zombies split into groups of equal numbers. They're also split up if different target zones contain the same number of noise tokens. So it's the same whether it's a visual thing or whether they're going by sound. If their target, there's two different routes to get to it, the group will split. If there's an uneven number of zombies, so like there's 3 zombies and you can't go evenly, then you get to decide which splitting group gets the extra zombie and which direction the uneven split groups go. In the case of a single zombie being offered multiple routes, the players get to decide. In the past, this was also something that was nastier. If you had an uneven number of zombies, like you had 3 zombies and they had 2 ways to go, it would actually somehow spawn an additional zombie and there would be 2 going each way. Not anymore. When you're choosing how to split the zombies, it's done by type. So if you've got a group of walkers, fatties, and runners, you don't have to make the whole total counts line up. It's the walkers, whatever their number is, half go one way, half go the other. The fatties, half go one way, half go the other. So if there's an uneven number of each of those different types of zombies, then you could choose on each case to make the extra one go the same direction. So if you had 3 fatties and 1 runner in a group, you wouldn't have to have 2 fatties go one way, fatty and runner go the other way. Instead, it's 2 fatties go one way, 1 fatty goes another way, and you choose which way the runner goes. So it's important that the groups are split out by type when you're choosing how to split groups of zombies. After all of these zombies have activated, then it is time to spawn new zombies. The starting spawn zone, the one marked with the 1, is always the first one to spawn, and then we go clockwise order. For each of these spawn zones, we're going to draw one of these zombie phase cards, and then we will resolve it. So in this case, we have 2 zones. We would resolve 2 different cards. Let's look at what these zombie cards look like. So the first one we would have in Zone 1 is Fatty Rush. Okay, so spawn, then activate. All of those different colors on there correspond to the highest experience level of any one of your characters. So move this to the side. Those correspond to the colors on the experience tracker. Whoever amongst your group has the highest level controls what is going to be spawning. So as you go through the mission and kill more zombies, it's going to increase the threat that's coming at you from each one of these spawn zones. At the very beginning of the game, we would be in the blue area, which means we wouldn't actually spawn any fatties. But if we were higher up, we could spawn as many as 3 fatties in that first zone space. So to resolve that, nothing spawns in number 1. We are lucky because the threat level is still very low. Now for the second space going clockwise is the one at the end of the street there. And what do we get for that one? Well, this one's not quite as lenient. This one is fatties, but even on the lowest level, you would spawn 2 of them. So I would take 2 more of these fatties out of the box, and I would place them in the space where that spawn zone indicates. Now, that was just an example. The first one that we looked at had some extra text on it. So the fatty rush, the reason why that one is 0 is those fatties that you just spawned would also activate. So they would get a free move, or in the worst case, if you were already standing on that spawn zone when they spawned on top of you, then they would spawn and immediately attack you. So it's very dangerous to stand on those spawn zones because you have no idea what's going to come in. Normally, things just spawn and they won't be attacking that turn, but here's an example of sometimes they get to move really quickly. And after all of the zombies have taken their actions, then you've spawned new zombies, you reach the end phase. During the end phase, it's basically cleanup. You remove all noise tokens that were generated on the board during this phase. There aren't any echoes, the zombies aren't still responding to the noise you made last turn on this next turn. Okay, that does it for the overall turn summary. And now we are ready to begin our tutorial game. Let's take one last look over everything. Our goals are to collect all of the crate tokens that are on the map, and then get back to the starting space alive. We've got a couple zombies on the board. They'll be coming from the back. It's important to note where you're going to be safe and not safe. And we will have zombies spawning in those dark rooms as we move forward. Our first character to move, because she was dealt the fire axe as her starting item, will be Amy. And her special skill that she gets at the start, her blue skill, is she gets 1 free move action, in addition to her normal 3 actions of any type. So we'll use that free move action at the very beginning. She also has a fire axe, so I think we should have her go ahead and open that door. You can only open a door if you've got an item that has the little icon. So the only 2 that actually have that are Amy and Lily. So if I don't open the door right away, I'll have to wait for another 3 characters to go before I can actually open that door. So we're going to use a door opening action. Because it's the axe, it has the loud symbol on it. It will create another noise in that space. Okay, there you go. And we open the door. Doors are only ever destroyed. There is never any ability to close a door again. This door is gone, which means for each of the rooms that are dark, we draw a zombie card. Or a zombie spawn card. Let's see what our first one will be. I'm going to go farthest to closest, so the red one first. Our first one is an abomination card. Thankfully, we're still in the blue, so nothing spawns in that further room. We got a little bit lucky on that one. And drawing for the closer room, we would get walkers times 4. Okay, that means we need to spawn 4 walkers in the space right next to Amy. Discard the rest of those cards off to the side somewhere. And I need to pull out 4 more walkers from the bag. From the box. And they all start in this dark room. I may have to play around with different camera placement. This one is only 2 tiles, but mission number 1 is 9, and it's going to be a lot bigger. I'll have to play around with the maps and maybe use the zoom camera like I did in Final Girl, and maybe have it like moving around. But I'll play with that when I get to a larger mission. Right now we can still, for the most part, see. We're zoomed in enough that we can see all the different miniatures. So we got those. That was Amy's first action. She has 2 more that she can do. I don't want to move her in there because she would be in a lot of danger. I think I would like to have the pistol people just sort of come up next and see if they can clear out the building. Okay, I've repositioned Aurora on the far side of the board. Hopefully she will play nicely. Good. Okay. Now, Amy here has 2 actions left. We're going to have her move into that space. We'll take the risk. I've reconsidered what we should do with the last 2 actions. I think because we have enough people with weapons over there that we can risk, with all of our melee weapon people, sending Amy over here, trying to clear out a zombie. So 3rd action move, 4th action, we're going to take an attack. I've got a nice new dice roller here. And so her axe has 1 die. We need a 4 or up to get a hit to kill that zombie. Up. Got the special zombie dice. That is the side for a 1. So we did not kill that zombie. But we are not in danger until the end of the round. Now that Amy is done with her turn, the next person in sequence is Elle. And she has, as her blue ability, Sniper. Sniper allows you to freely choose the targets of your range attacks. It ignores the friendly fire restriction, which means she actually can safely fire at the zombie in the space with Amy. So we're going to bring Elle out to here. 1 action for the first move, and we'll have her fire at the zombie that's next to Amy. So we need a 3 or higher. Okay, that's a 6. We have protected Amy, and every shot with a gun is noisy. She has 1 action left. This time she's going to fire into the building. That's a 1. Her second attack did not hit, but it still generates noise. There's going to be a lot of noise tokens in this space. That is it for Elle's turn. Next up is Ned, who is in the orange. His special ability is he gets 1 free search action, but you can only search when you're inside a building, and we still need to clear that out. So his first action, move into the same space, and he's going to be firing into the building with his pistol for his next 2 actions. Okay, first shot. 3. With the pistol, 3 and up is good enough. So he has hit and killed a zombie. And his last action. That's another 1. Okay, we've added 2 more noise tokens, and that was Ned's full turn. Next up is Lily, who is green. She has a crowbar. Her special ability is she has +1 max range with ranged weapons only. She doesn't get to use her crowbar at range like a boomerang, but if she did have a pistol, she could use it from farther away. In her case, I believe it's best to move her out with Amy. I don't want to move her in there because then she could get attacked. So Lily will use 2 moves, 1, 2, and she will stop in this space. She could open that door, and since the door right there is in the light, no zombies would spawn in that space, but there's always a chance that you might get a runner or something that would put you immediately in danger from there. So even though we could have her silently open that door, we're going to hold off on that intentionally for right now. Which means we will not use her third action. We're just going to wait there for the zombies to come up to us. Billy is done. Now we're with Bunny G, and he has the Lucky attribute. Checking from the book, the Lucky skill allows you to re-roll all the dice once for each action the survivor takes. If you have equipment that is also allowing re-rolls, you could do both. But if you re-roll all the dice, you must take the new rolls. You can't just re-roll the bad dice from any roll. So Bunny G is lucky, and he's got a pistol. That, I think, tells me that he is going to do the same thing, but he has a better chance at killing some of these zombies with the pistol that he's got. Again, 2 shots into the building. Try to get some more of those zombies out. Oh, 6 this time. Got another walker down. And his last shot is another 6. Making up for those earlier ones. Now there's only 1 walker left in the building, although they will be coming at us at the action phase of the zombies' turn. That's Bunny G's actions. And finally, Ostara, the last person up. Her special ability, her blue ability, is that she can search more than once on a turn. There's a standard restriction, you can only search once. She can keep searching. And she has a baseball bat, so I don't want to move her in. I could go 1, 2, and then try to attack it for 3. I could move her all the way in there. That would be the same distance as everyone else, and she could go for the objective. I like that idea, because she's no more in danger than all of them because it's one space away, and because she's slippery. If the zombie comes after her, she can get away more easily. Maybe even go in and get back out and just have the zombies chasing us. So her action will be 3 moves. 1, 2, and only because she's a kid, she automatically gets the slippery ability, which means it doesn't take extra actions to get out of the zombie space. Now that Ostara has finished, we're done with the player portion of the phase. It's the zombies' turn. First they act, then you spawn new zombies. So starting with, first each zombie in the same zone as survivors performs an attack. There's nobody in the same space, and I like to work closest to farthest in terms of zombies making their moves. So the first one up, we're going to have, we've got 2 walkers here. So the walker is going to move into their space. And then for this other walker, we have a choice. That zombie has line of sight to both of the groups of survivors. They're both equal distance, which means we can choose how to split that group, and it's a group of 1, so they only go one direction. I'm going to have that zombie move out onto the street with the largest group of people. When zombies are choosing their destination when they're doing a move action, the first thing they do is by line of sight, and they select the one with survivors in line of sight that has the most noise tokens, remembering that survivors count as noise tokens. So, in the case of this zombie who can see 2 different groups of people, this space is by far the noisier one, so this zombie will move into this space. Our walkers have moved. The next closest ones are the runner and the fatty that are in the same space. And remember, the runner gets 2 actions, which means she can move twice towards our survivors. All of the zombies on the board have done as many actions as they can. We have a couple who have close to melee range with our survivors. And now it is time to spawn more zombies. Starting with the spawn token with the 1 on it, going clockwise. So we'll do that one first and that one second. Let's see what we've got. The first one is a walker rush. That means that 2 zombies spawn in the first survivor zone, and then those, they are walkers, then immediately get to activate. Thankfully, it's not all of the walkers activate, just the ones that we just spawned get to activate, and that means they move 1 space towards our group. Now it's time to see what we get for the other spawn zone. We have 6 walkers. We got a big group. Gotta pull more out of the box. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We've got a nice small little horde. Higher levels of this card, it definitely would get worse. The color is determined by the highest level character among all of your survivors. And finally, we've got the end phase. So we remove all of the noise tokens from the board, and then the first player token goes to the player on your left, which is the next one in the turn sequence. So the first player token goes to L, and she will take the first turn in the next round, which we are ready to begin right now. So L, remembering that L is red, and she has the sniper ability, she can freely choose targets, meaning that she could shoot both the zombie that's in her space as well as the 2 in the next space without risking friendly fire on the survivors that are in that same space with her. Normally, even if you're shooting in the space that you're in, you would have the potential for friendly fire if there was another survivor in your space and you shot at a zombie in your space. So we'll take her shot first at the zombie that's in the space with her. Always make sure that you can survive before you help others, like oxygen masks, I suppose. So very first action for her, shooting the zombie in her space. That's a 1. And unfortunately, she doesn't get to do rerolls, so second action, shooting at the 1 in her space again. This one is a 4, so we have killed that zombie. One thing that I was forgetting to do was to move the experience markers up. I believe Bunny G killed 2 that were inside the building. Elle killed 1 last turn, and the last from inside the building this turn, so now she's at 2 as well. And Amy killed the one that was originally in that space. So I believe I've got them set up now correctly at 2, 2, and 1. Now, Elle has taken 2 shots on this turn. She got a hit and then a miss. And I think what she can do now is try to get one of the zombies in the next space over. Because she's the sniper, no risk of friendly fire. Let's take our shot. Oh, missed. 3 for a pistol, that is good enough for a hit. Now, given the target priority, it's fatties or abominations, then walkers, then runners. So I can't choose to kill the runner first, I have to take the walker out first when doing a ranged attack. And that gets Elle another point, up to 3. Elle is at 3, the next person to go is Ned. Ned gets a free search action. I'm going to send him into the building, that is. So first action was a move. Now he'll use his free search action to explore what is in the pimp crate, or pimp weapon crate. That means we draw a red card. What has he found? He has found the golden kukri. So this is a melee weapon. It gets to roll 4 dice, and it hits on a 4 plus lethality 2. This is a very strong weapon. Ned will definitely equip that right away. And that also reminds me, we had Elle shoot 3 times, so there's a lot of noise in her space. Okay, Ned moved in. The search action was free, and unlike Ostara's special ability, survivors can normally only search once on their turn, and that means he has 2 more actions total that he could use. I'm going to move him back out, and then into the tile with those people and the zombies. I'm hoping that I can have him maybe switch weapons, juggle weapons with someone else. If I stop there and I use the exchange weapons action, now that he's got an awesome weapon of his own, he can do the exchange items, and he can now give a second pistol to Bunny G. Bunny G has Lucky, which means he's better at taking shots, so now if he dual wields the pistols, one attack action at range will allow him to roll 2 dice per attack instead of just the 1 that we were doing before. That ends Ned's turn. Now we go up to Lily. Lily is in this space with the runner. Now that fatty is a problem because we need a weapon with lethality of at least 2 in order to kill it. And thankfully we now have 2 such weapons. The golden kukri and the fire axe qualify, but none of our ranged weapons or the crowbar or baseball bat can harm that guy, which means we don't want to do too much risk with that right now. Keeping our mission in mind, all we really need to do is go out and back up. We never really even need to deal with the door that's up here. So we can probably stand here, shoot all the zombies that are coming at us, run out and run back in. I think that Lily, oh, of course, we can't forget about this runner. We better attack that runner. So the crowbar, you roll 1 die for your attack. Let's do that now. She's attacking the runner in her space. Oh, it's a 3, and the crowbar needs a 4 plus. That was a miss. Second attack. Oh, 5. This time it hit. So that was 2 actions, and she has killed that runner, which gives her 1 experience. So our green person goes up by 1. I may get out a bunch of dice or something to keep track of. Nothing against these boards. If you had like 1 per person and it was a lot, it would be easier to move them back and forth. But I'm finding them a bit difficult to move. I may just put like a pair of dice next to the thing and just increment the experience that way. Whatever works for you. There's no reason you can't make those things work for you. Lily has 1 action remaining. Well, I mentioned before, I've only really got the 2 things that can open doors. Because they are slightly farther away, I think I'm going to spend her last action opening the door that's next to her. The crowbar is also completely silent. So we open that door, and that means we need to spawn zombies for each of the dark rooms. They're equidistant, so I'll just make sure you're saying which one you're spawning for in what order. Let's do the objective room first, and then the other one. So here's our first card. It's a fatty rush. We get 2 fatties that spawn and then activate. Yep, these really are the names, the names of the creatures in the game. I'm not just being mean. Okay, they spawn and then activate. So they have spawned in the red objective room, and they immediately activate, so they will move 1 space closer to us. Well, now we've got whole bunch of protective, tough enemies right around us. That's a bit of a problem. And now we need to draw a card for the other space in that room. And what have we got this time? It's another Fatty Rush with just one. Looks like I need to do a bit better with shuffling. Always the case. And the last part of that Fatty Rush is that they will also move. Now we've got a whole bunch of these coming in next to us at once. Definitely should give the zombie deck another shuffle, just making sure I don't have all the rush cards right next to each other. It always could have happened that way randomly. And that was the end of Lily, the green's turn, which means the next one up is Bunny G, who is in yellow. Now, I gave him the double pistols, but realistically, he can't do anything against all of these fatties, and the fatties would really block him in, which would be a huge problem. That said, we do know that kids are slippery. They have that ability by default, which means it doesn't take them extra actions to get out of a space with zombies. And as we just learned in the last turn, the way the line of sight rules work and the way zombies pick the target they go to. So let's have Bunny G do his move. 1, 2, 3. Because he's slippery, he doesn't have to pay the extra movement cost of 1 per zombie to get out of that space. He can go straight through that tile, and he has reached the tile with the objective in it. The way the fatties will choose their target on their next turn is a space with survivors in line of sight that has the most noise. They're going to choose to go this way, and they're going to leave our little boy alone out there, which means he'll have free reign to try to crack the objectives that are over there. Naichi finished his turn. Next up is Ostara, who is in the objective room. First thing we're going to have her do is grab that objective, which means she gets 5 experience on her tracker, puts her almost to the second level all by itself. You need 7 to reach the yellow level. Yep, again, having trouble getting it to stay exactly where I want. Good. Now she can do her search action. She can actually search multiple times. Maybe I can just have her sit in the back here. Well, I at least want her near the door. So second action, we'll move her there. And third action, we will have her search from the regular items deck. What have we got this time? Oh, terrible. There are surprise cards. Sometimes when searching, instead of finding a useful item, you get a surprise walker instead. And unfortunately, that was her last action, so now she is in some trouble. That was her third action there. So instead of finding something useful, she has found zombie. And it is now Amy's turn. She's our last person to go on this turn, so unless we want our kid to get some real damage here, we can have Amy, who does get a free move action, have her try to get over to safety, or to try to save Ostara by running over there with a fire axe. But that's a really tough idea because she has one of the 2 weapons that can fight the fatties. I think I'm best off. There's a huge trade-off. If I move Amy over there, I will probably be able to save Ostara because it's a free move, and you get 2 strikes at that zombie. But if I don't, then I could try to kill the fatty who is closing in on us right now before Lily here gets completely swarmed by too many fatties for her to escape on her own. There's always the chance, though, that the like, I'll pull a card that says all walkers activate. I don't think that'll happen at, like, level blue, but, like, at yellow or above, you may get one that would surprise, the walker activates again, and if I let Ostara get down to her last point of health, that could just instantly lose you the game. If I let her take one now, and then we get a surprise second one. I don't want to risk that. I think we can rely on Ned because he got such a ridiculously good weapon that can kill the fatties. We're gonna rely on Ned coming back to save on the next turn. So, free action. First action. She has reached the space. She has 2 actions remaining. And this is 1 die. 4 and above will kill. 4 and above kills. So we have saved the child, and now we're going to move her back outside so that she can help out on the next turn. Every survivor has gone through their whole list of actions, which means it is now the zombies phase. So, using my method of starting with the closest ones first, the fatties will be coming towards Lily. I did change the math slightly when Amy moved out of that space, but they will still go towards the space with survivors that has the most noise, which is still that one. So that's the space they will move towards. If they were in a space with survivors, instead of moving, they would just attack that survivor. But this is a really good example of the mechanics in play. These three fatties, instead of specifically targeting that or that for their move, they're actually moving towards this tile. But, oh, they've accidentally discovered another survivor who they have completely surrounded, and if they were to get any more actions, Lily would be absolutely toast. I didn't really consider that. If the fatties get to have another attack, Lily is absolutely toast again either way. Okay? Good to keep that in mind. Letting someone get entirely swarmed, there's always the chance the zombies might get an extra go. There's not a ton of those cards, but just the fact that they're there means you have to watch out when you're letting zombies move into your space at the end of your turn. All these fatties have moved. Now all the walkers that are further out get closer by one zone. Because that door is closed, the closest space they would go to is the one with the most noise, so they're following the path to there. All zombies have now activated, so we draw a card for each of these zombies, starting with the number 1. And now we've got regular fatties, 3 of them. Well, that card was nowhere near the other fatties in the original deck, so at the very least we've shuffled, but we just keep getting more fatties spawned. So we've got more of those tough fatties in the top corner, and now we need to draw a card for the other space. What we got this time? It's even more fatties. Okay. Well, let's see what's up next. Let's switch over to the main view. And we got 2 more of the big ones spawning up top. Thankfully, we've got that other high lethality weapon, otherwise we might have to juggle the fire axe from person to person just so they can make attack attempts. Okay, that was both spawn zones. Now it's the end phase. We clean up all the noise we generated during that turn. I don't think I made any more pistol attacks after the beginning, so we were good there. And anything else? Yes, the first player token moves to the person who would be on your left. If you're going clockwise around the corner, that would be the next person in line. So that means Ned is going first next time, and we really need him to get in there and kill as many fatties as possible just to make our life a little bit easier here. He moves 1 to get into that space. And now, this time, instead of 1 die, we're going to be rolling a full 4. It has lethality 2, which means it will kill a fatty, and it's not an amount of health kind of a thing, like it's 2 damage. Every zombie really just has the 1 hit point. You just need a weapon with a high enough lethality to be able to kill them. So any hit will be able to kill that fatty. Okay, let's take our dice and roll. Action number 2. Okay, we got a 3, a 4, a 6, and a 1. That means we got 3 hits on these fatties, so 3 of them are down. High-level weapons are huge. And he's got 1 action left. We've still got a fatty. Hopefully we can get 1 hit among these 4 dice. Oh yeah, we got some 5s in there. So we have overkill. We have killed the last fatty there. And fatties still only give you 1 adrenaline point. He's gotten 4 kills this turn. So we need to move his level up to the 4 there. Just can't quite see it. Slide it up. Now he's up to the 4. Aurora's back. Yes, there you are. Please take a seat. Hang on a sec. We were going to have her go inside and help just try to get these crates. Hopefully we can kill all the zombies and just get right back out as fast as possible. So move 1 into the building. She'll take a search action and search the pimp weapon crate. We've got 3 of the 4 objective markers now selected. Picked up. What is she going to have? She has found an automatic shotgun. The pimp weapons are very good. I think that's what they're trying to teach you by giving you 2 of them close together on a map like this. Ah, there's an example of a different ammo type. As we saw earlier, The pistol uses the small caliber ammunition, and the auto shotgun uses shells. It has range 0 or 1, you roll 3 dice, hits on a 4 up, and has lethality 2, a ranged weapon that can kill those fatties. Excellent. And Lily has picked that up. She can put that in her secondary space. Hello again, Aurora. Lily has 1 action left. She moved. Search grabbed that weapon. Bunny G's got the other one. Let's move her back towards our exit space. That's her 3 actions. Now it's Bunny G's turn. We're going to have him search, pick up that objective crate, which gives him 5 experience. And this is going to take us from 2 to 7, which is the first mark on the yellow track. Which means whenever we pick up one of those spawn cards from now on, we're going to take the second result, not the blue one anymore. And also because he's leveled up, we get to pick his yellow ability. Yellows, there's really only one option, and it's the same for everybody. It gives you 1 more action on your turn. So he's used his first action, but he just got another one back, which means he's got 3 actions left. 1, 2. Now, tough choice. I think I need him to shoot at the zombies rather than running back, because before Ned gets another chance to act, those zombies are going to move into his space, and there's enough of them that he won't be able to move out of that space. So we're going to have to kill at least that first wave of zombies before we can escape, which means our last action will be using the dual-wielded pistols. So we're going to roll 2 dice. With Bunny G's last action, we're going to roll that attack. Oh, a 4 and a 1. Now, Bunny G can reroll because he's got the lucky ability, but I'd have to reroll both dice. Do I take one or chance that I can get better? Let's chance it. Since he hits on a 3+, it's likely that I will still get at least 1 hit. Up to 2 hits with a 5 and a 6. So we've killed 2 regular zombies with Bunny G's last action. Now that he's done, it's Ostara's turn. She still just has that baseball bat, and now I'm somewhat afraid to have her search because of that spawn that we got from the last of those search cards. Realistically, if I just get her to the exit space, in fact, let's just check the mission info here, but I believe that once you've collected that last crate, you can just leave. Which means, well, I would be getting less actions on a turn. Zombies don't move any less if you have fewer characters on the board. Take all objectives and crates, then reach the exit with all survivors. Any survivor may escape through this zone at the end of their turn as long as there are no zombies in it. So yeah, because she doesn't have great weapons or anything on her, I could just move her out and take her off the board. Ostara's first search, I definitely don't want to use her last action on a search. I suppose that's the key lesson, at least leave yourself an attack. So, search number 1. Well, she's found a chainsaw. It can open doors noisily. It rolls 5 dice, but only kills on a 5+, so it needs those 5 dice. Yeah, this would be a good weapon for someone who is lucky. And it has lethality of 2. It can kill fatties. Now our Ostara is much stronger. I don't think I need to do any more searching. I'm just going to have her move out to there, out into the... Oh, yeah, give her her chainsaw. Move her outside, and we'll have her wait so that in case we need her to come in, she can come in and start swinging and try to kill some enemies, or she can escape out the back if she needs to. We move down to Amy now. Amy gets free move actions, but I don't want to put her further into harm's way. I will just use the free move action to move her here, and I can use her remaining actions to try to rearrange weapons. She has her full 3 actions, so I could swap with one person and then swap things around again. But really, I don't think I need to go into that much micromanagement for the tutorial. We'll just move her into that space. That way she can take up to 2 swings and still free move and reach the exit on her turn, helping deal with that group of walkers that is definitely going to reach us. So they're all moving to form a protective wall so that they can make an attack and then get out. That was Amy. Now we've got L. L also has the sniper ability. Let's move L one space to here, and now she can take her 2 shots with a pistol at the walkers in the next space over. If we thin them out enough, we can just have our people move towards the exit. Okay, 1 attack at a time, because she is not dual wielding, it's just 1 die per attack. First attack on the zombie walkers in that space. That is a 1. She has missed, and she made some noise. Attack number 2 is a 2. She missed twice and just made some noise, which doesn't matter, we're all in that space anyway. Elle has finished. She was the last survivor to act on this round. Now we're into the zombies phase. None of them are with a survivor, so none of them get to attack on this round. And then going from closest to farthest, this group of 4 walkers has joined us in this space. Sort of move them into the side, so it's clear they're all at least outside, and there. Yeah, we're all in the same space. Okay, next up, the 2 walkers and the 2 fatties out there move up, and likewise, these fatties also move up. The zombies have now all acted. Next, we need to draw new spawns, and because we had somebody level up, Bunny G is now in yellow. That means we're going to be pulling from a higher level this time. So starting with zone number 1, we have more fatties, although this time there is no difference between blue and yellow. I did shuffle it. I even shuffled it between turns just to make sure, and I'm just getting all the fatties. And now for the other space, a walker rush. 4 walkers spawn in that space in the back, and then they immediately get to activate. So the 4 walkers we just killed spawn there, and then they immediately get to move towards us. So we definitely have a lot of zombies, and we're still on the lower levels, danger levels, like blue and yellow. And you can see we have a lot of zombies that we need to deal with. But we've done all the spawns. I don't think there's anything left to do there, so cleanup phase, we get rid of those noise counters, and the first player token moves to the next person in line. And we start the next round. Lily is going next, or rather going first. And she is not a sniper, so if she attacked those zombies, then every miss that she made with that automatic shotgun would hit one of our allies. So I don't want to use, even though it's a really nice shotgun, I don't want to use that right now. She does have a crowbar, so she could make an attack and then use her slippery trait as a kid to get straight out of here. I think that's what I want to do. I'm going to take 1 attack using her crowbar, and then we're going to just start running people out. Crowbar attack. 1 die. 4. Needed a 4+. We have killed 1 zombie, and she gets 1 point of experience. Up to 2. And her actions 2 and 3 are just going to be getting to the exit, and at the end of her turn, based on the mission rules, you can leave through the exit space. So green is safe. I suppose we'll just put her off to the side there. Next up is Bunny G. Bunny G is lucky, but he is not a sniper. So again, any misses I would have to assign as wounds to my survivors there. And he doesn't have a melee weapon, so I really don't want to have him just shooting at my own space. Likewise, because we have those 2 fatties in the other space, those fatties are protecting that big killing of walkers between them, because the hits would be assigned to the fatties first, and they wouldn't take any damage. So I can't even have Bunny G shoot at the other space before he runs away. I'm just going to have him, well, I can at least have him trade items, so he can give that dual pistol to my sniper, L, before he leaves, and then he's going to take his other 2 actions, 2, 3, and he has escaped to safety. The safety is being guarded by Aurora, it looks like. Okay, that's Bunny G's 3 actions. Ostara, she's already back. She's got a chainsaw. If I move her out, she won't be able to reach the exit. All 3 of our kids have reached safety. Now the adults are going to have a bit of a tougher time. First up is Amy. While she does get a free move action, every zombie that's in your space increases the number of actions you need to move by one. Amy could use the free move action plus her regular 3 actions to move 1 space. She wouldn't be able to escape with that. I might actually have to do it that way, just because if I have her attack, she can't kill more than 1 per fire axe that she swings. So she would need to get lucky and kill each one of those 3 in turn in order for her to actually be able to leave the space, unless I have her use her through all of her actions plus the free move to get out of that space. She's just not as good at running away as the others are. That is unfortunate. I could, instead of wasting her turn, essentially, if I had her trade with Ned for the really awesome weapon, so trade the fire axe for the fancy kukri, then she can make an attack with the kukri, maybe kill multiple zombies with that one attack, and then still make it out. So first action was going to be a rearrange action with Ned to trade some items around. Now she rolls 4 die with her second action, trying to kill as many as possible. 4 up will kill. But she only got 1 with that. So we have still taken out a zombie, and she gets a point of experience from that. I think, yeah, she just needs to attack again, and if she doesn't make it out, then sending the kids away first was a terrible idea. Because we won't be able to get out of that space once the fatties are all in the space with us. Well, maybe the kukri could save us. But now this is her third action. We need to kill these zombies just in order to get out of the space. But this time I got 3 6s. More than I needed to kill the remaining 2 zombies. Her experience goes up to 4. Excellent. So now she's used all of her regular actions, but she still has her free move action, which allows her, thanks to there being no more zombies left on that space, the movement penalty is gone. She can't escape this turn, but she's still farther away from the horde. Okay, good job, Amy. Now it is Elle's turn, and now I could move 2 out, but because I can't win on this turn, I need to check the sniper ability one more time. The survivor may freely choose the targets of all their ranged actions. So I believe that means she ignores the target priority order. Judging by the wording on the sniper ability, I believe that means that I can target the regular walkers on that space, just in case the horde somehow gets a double move and would catch up to Amy. I can spend 2 actions using the dual wield to try to pick off as many walkers as I can, and then leave them together on this space. So with that understanding for how sniper works, I can pick the targets so I can ignore the fatty targeting and hit those walkers. Okay, so it's a dual wield, which means we roll 2 dice per attack. Action number 1. Well, we got 1 hit. 1 walker is down. Definitely switching to dice for the future. Okay, second action. Hey, we got a 3 and a 4 this time, so that was 2 hits. Okay, and 2 more action points. She's up to 6. If she had 1 more, she could get a bonus action, but we're going to stay 1 step ahead of that horde. Her last action will move into the space with Amy. Finally, Ned. Ned has a fire axe. He could attack. He could kill a fatty in his space, but we're going to keep this group together and have them all escape at the same time. Hopefully next turn, they'll just waltz right out. This is just guarding against if they have an extra action for some reason, getting really unlucky and having one person get stuck in the end and then we lose because everyone else is already gone. That would suck. So, just being a bit defensive there. All of our survivors have taken their actions now. Ned was the last. Now it's the zombie turn. There's no one to attack, so they all just do a move towards where there's the most noise. Okay, and now we spawn in a row, starting with the first spawn zone. We have walkers. And now that we are in the yellow zone, we're spawning 5. So we have 5 walkers that are in that corner space now. Our second spawn zone, we get a walker rush. This time we get 3 walkers. I need to pull out 1 more from the supply. So we get 3 walkers that spawn in the second zone, and they immediately get to move forward by 1. We've done the spawns, so cleanup step. We did make some noise. Yeah, didn't bother putting the tile down, but we'd pick that tile back up. And the survivor token would go to the next person, ignoring the people who have already left, which means it's back to Amy again. Amy goes first. Our players can, in a row, make it to the survivor zone and escape. And we've won the tutorial! That one was very simple on purpose, although they were spawning and they almost got to us, but using the kids' slippery abilities to get past, clean out that building really fast, really helped us out on completing the objectives and getting out before the massive hordes started really getting to us. On a bigger map, it'll be a lot harder to control that kind of behavior. So, we have successfully completed the tutorial. I hope that this quick play session helped demonstrate a lot of the rules that we learned earlier in this video, and I hope you'll join me in the... Oh, she's taking my survivors! Well, we're done with the game, Aurora. You can have them. And with that, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, learning how to play with us, and I hope to see you in the videos later when we play Zombicide from the wheel itself. See you then. Bye-bye.